I did. I know. I just hit record. I was just trying to make it a little awkward. Yeah, we have.
You know what? And that reminds me. I think that is the role here. I try to have a fluid, kind of funny conversation with you,
and then
you are the awkward guy who decides.
I know my role. I keep it interesting.
Is that interesting to whom?
To me.
oh, because this is all about you. So I'm working
it amuses
here.
me.
Amuses you. I'm working here to make you laugh, and then you just don't laugh. I have nightmares about you. Sorry, I do. I have nightmares.
That's what everybody wants to hear.
I talk for 8 to 10 minutes, and then I send it right back over to you about some topic, and you very dryly say, I think you've said everything that can be said about that. And then you just stared into the camera. And that's what I fear the most with you, is that your response will be, and don't do this, please, just tease me. But your response is, I have nothing to add to that. Because usually in a back and forth conversation, there's a response or some sort of a, hey, but then you just go, you've said just everything you could say. Or you could at least say, I agree.
There are some things that I don't really have an opinion about. And so it's more like I'm absorbing the information.
Great. So welcome to the Rita and Ryan Podcast.
Welcome to the show, everyone.
Welcome to the show. I'm Rita.
And I'm Ryan.
And this is our podcast. So before we start, we would like to say hello to our 2 biggest fans, Ryan's mom.
Hi, Mother.
And Chef Jenny Fox.
Hey, Jenny.
Jenny, thank you for all the love today. Well, I think it was today or yesterday that you wrote from our last podcast. And we will say your name 300 times during this show.
Thanks, Jenny.
You're amazing. Chef Jenny Fox.
For leaving comments before I even had a chance to post that the episode was out. So.
Well, I guess you got scolded, Chef Jenny Fox.
No, it's good.
It's good. Who is a personal chef, and she does meal prep.
So no, thanks for.
That was 3
commenting.
How many times did you say your name? Once.
I don't know.
To scold you. So.
Jeez.
That's what you did. So. Our biggest fan, which Chef other than Jenny Ryan's mom, Chef Jenny Fox, Indianapolis, personal chef and meal prep extraordinaire. She wrote a bunch of responses to our last video, which is amazing, and I think she liked it. And it's, of course, those 2 viewers and those 2 likes really affect the algo, so we really appreciate it for everyone watching. Yep. But number 2, Ryan just scolded her by saying, before he could post that it was out,
I wasn't. You were clearly not listening to me.
Okay, so Chef Jenny Fox of the Indianapolis area.
You were not listening to me at all.
I
said,
I try not to listen to you.
I said thank you for posting before for leaving comments before I had a chance to do that. That was nice.
That was passive aggressive. You don't say, thank you for doing something before I had a chance to. You just don't do that, Ryan. I'm sorry.
You're making shit up. That is...
Well, I guess is this our 7th and final episode? This is number 7.
No.
Man.
Time flies.
Time flies. Yes, well, it's been a great career. We've enjoyed every moment of it, especially. But you know what? We really can't quit, because think of Chef Jenny Fox from the Indianapolis area, personal chef and meal prep extraordinaire, and your mother, former dairy maid.
Yep.
So do you want to talk about something tonight, or do you want me to just tease you for the next 49 minutes?
I thought you were going to have a topic.
Of course I have a topic.
I just kind of
going with the flow.
Yeah, wait. I look forward to hearing what you have to talk about, and I'm like, is this going to be something I find interesting, or
Oh my God. You don't even know what that sounds like. So right on the video, you're thinking, I wonder if I'll be bored. Wonder if it'll be interesting.
No, it's fun for me.
You know what?
It's
I'm
fun.
really starting to feel like I'm here to entertain you.
We are here to entertain everyone.
Oh boy. Okay.
We're here to entertain everyone.
Let's just take the fun down a notch. Ryan, Mr.
Oh, well, I do have one thing. It's a weird we could talk about that. I kind of wonder about.
You go first.
Dust. What is up with dust? Where does it come from? Why, like,
where does dust come from?
Yeah,
do you not see the air? Do you not see it in the air? You know that we're moving. You know.
Yeah, I know.
Particles are moving throughout the universe.
It just never stops.
And then it settles. Then you go home and you leave the house for work, and you come home.
Constantly having to clean off the TV screen and computer monitors and instruments and everything. I gotta dust, man. It doesn't bother you?
Well, in the big scheme of things, no. I'm intrigued by how quickly things get dusted. So say, a glass tabletop, and you walk by and think, what? And I think what would be interesting is to do a test to say, it seems like every week you got to do a dust-a-roo when you're cleaning, right? Vacuum. At
least.
Right. So, and this is the way I do it. You vacuum first, because that's dusted up, so if you dust first and then vacuum, all the particles possibly from the vacuum cleaner that you cannot see, dust it up again. So get a good vacuum, then you dust the glass top and wood or whatever you have. And then it seems like the next week it's time to do it again. And I'm not sure if the dust has been there for 6 days since you did it, or it takes that long, or if it's just because Saturdays is when people do most of their chores because that's when they're off.
Yeah, or if you're just not paying attention, and then
sometimes obviously you're paying attention because it's the first big topic.
Yeah, I mean it's something I think about from time to time.
When was the last time you dusted your house, your apartment?
I don't want to say. It's been
not
like
be I'm not a rocket science.
It's been like a week and a half. Like I usually dust a couple times a week. For me, that's why I'm like. So it's been about a week and a half.
So you're a compulsive duster.
Yeah.
Well, you're just a real clean guy. You keep things really clean and tidy. Plus, you have a smaller, or you've got a single living space, maybe gym studio.
So you can't.
So when you walk in the front door, you get to see what a mess or not mess you are. Right.
And so I like to keep everything. I mean, it's not like anybody's coming over.
and I will tell you, but even if I went, you know what?
Yeah, I want it to be presentable.
Today, you would not know whether I dusted and vacuumed or not, because I just wouldn't bring it into the conversation. And now you've told the entire universe and all of our fans, and Chef Jenny Fox from Minneapolis area, personal chef. You've told everybody and your mother that you're not so good at the cleaning jobs, or you're lacking. And is it just because of your work schedule?
It's just been the work schedule.
Okay.
No. I've actually just revealed to everyone what I'm doing tomorrow.
Can you videotape that? Maybe we could add it to the next week's segment. Yeah, Ryan dusting.
I mean, I could, but I won't.
It's just that the fact that you brought it as the very first topic, which usually is the lead.
I don't know. I was just thinking about that. I was like, man, I need to dust.
Yeah.
It's because I keep up with it, dust, and
you could hire a maid.
No, I'm capable of doing it.
So if you don't dust, how often do you
I dust.
Clean the bathroom? Come on, you got to
fairly regular.
At least you got to do that, because that's normal. Even for a guy.
Yeah, I keep I go through Clorox wipes and wipe down the sink and
You don't have to go through the
clean.
details. You don't have to go through the details. We just like we trust that your house is a dust storm, we trust that your bathroom is clean.
Yes.
Do you have any more to add to your dust story, or?
No, I was just dust. What's up with that?
Oh,
dust is weird. Like
yeah. I guess if I honestly I'm moving on because I refuse to contemplate dust.
Yeah.
Because it's on our bodies. It's all in the air.
It's just a recurring
yes.
task that I'm just like, man, why can't it just stop for a minute?
Well, because the earth is dusty.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I know I'm asking illogical questions. But that's not the point.
Okay. The point is to have a really strong lead-in topic. Can you imagine someone never seen this video before and they start with this?
I imagine they would be enamored.
Yeah, that's right. Because that's right.
Be like, okay.
The guy to go, have you seen that amazing show?
About
like
dust?
They talk about dust for an hour.
It's only been like 4 minutes that we talked about dust.
And that's the other thing too, Ryan. That's why I'm quitting the show, but then joining back up when I'm done with my fit. This
is what you get when you ask me to pick topics.
You're so literal. I'm trying to exaggerate for humor, and you're like, "What's 50 minutes, 4 minutes?" Like, yeah, I get it. Our fan base gets it. Ryan, can I go to the next topic now, or do you want to have this awkward silence between the two of us?
I mean, you could have saved us all from this by going into the topic earlier.
No, I think this is what happened. You went, "Oh, I've got a topic."
Yeah.
And being the generous, and even though you interrupted me, newsflash, roll the tape, please. Reenact. So you thought whatever I wanted to talk about, your topic was more important to open with, which is fine. I'm good with it. Okay, I've got a couple things, and on a serious note, but just to talk about, because, sometimes in all the people watching us, Ryan's mom and Jenny, sometimes I forget because Ryan and I talked before the show, and then my brain will go, did we say this before the show or during? But so I'm going to just pretend like we didn't. But
yeah,
talking about sleep, and we were talking about how many hours you need, and then of course, and then Ryan was saying, sometimes he does a lot of physical labor that that you need at least equal amount of sleep to like the labor that you have. And I just lost. Oh man, it's coming back. No, I lost it. I totally lost my point. It'll come back in a few minutes. No, it wasn't about sleep. It was about, I'm looking at the topic that I wanted to start with. You threw in the dust, and I thought I could hook around with something else, and I can't. So
I'll just go with your original topic.
All right. Are we gonna start all over again?
No.
Okay.
Okay,
so I've had some good changes. Oh no, I'm back. Here we go. Back. Okay. So when we talk about being tired, so there's a mental exhaustion people can have and a physical exhaustion. And so that's what I was thinking about earlier today. Because I think sometimes, really, if you get really inspired, say to write a song or to write a script or to do something really creative, and that you can't stop, and that you get an idea, and it's like you wake up in the morning, you work on it, you go to work all day, and then you come home and you're working, or you spend your entire day off, 10 hours straight, just getting this idea mapped out, whatever it is. And is that to you? Have you ever been, I'm just saying mental exhaustion, to say, I really didn't go out and work out today or work physical, but I can feel that tiredness. Can you here's the question. Can you feel the difference between physical tired and mental tired?
I think so. I was gonna say there's emotionally exhausted as well.
Oh, that's a really good thing. And I wonder if emotional is the same as, and because I'm using that, from years ago, we learned in science that we burn calories when we think, and we're, being creative, and our bodies is little synapses are going off,
and
right?
I mean, and I kind of see, like mental exhaustion, like if you have a desk job and you're like crunching numbers all day.
Right. And just like you said on the emotional part, it's like the dopamine hits, the ups and downs, and you're absolutely right, because that would be I'm thinking emotional.
Yeah, and
I think stress,
like
anger,
stress, family life, you're
even
just
joy,
like
happy, yeah.
just
So
emotionally like that one I definitely know. I've been emotionally exhausted.
Yeah. Oh boy. And then
I'd rather be physically exhausted.
I know. I think that helps too sometimes, especially in a really stressful time period, that it just can help. That's just for me personally, is that especially if I go do something. So we talked scuba diving before. You go scuba diving here in the Bay Area or Monterey Bay, the water is in 62 to 68 degrees, very cold. So
gotta wear a wetsuit,
a very thick millimeter wetsuit. But one of the most beautiful places to dive for, it's got some of the best views of the kelp forest, it's like a park, and then people are just walking, playing on the beach, but you have to walk over the sand. Well, you have to walk down these steps, walk over the sand with all this gear on, your tank, and everything. It's very heavy because your suit's heavy, your vest is heavy, your fins are heavy, everything. You got to walk in this tide, put your fins on, your gloves and everything, go in and dive for an hour, come back, walk back up through the sandbar, go up the steps, and then go to a place where, you put your equipment down, rest for an hour, and go back out. Well, and then it's a 2-hour drive back home. So that kind of exhaustion is it's good, because there's, number one, diving releases a lot of any kind of stress or anxiety, because that's all you can think about while you're in the water. But I think that that example is like, when times I've done that, or just, it's like the whole day is just running around, not doing something work related or something emotionally stressful. I think it's helpful. I think that's why they tell people. And it also, there's the hormonal changes that happen when you're exercising and burning calories, breaking muscle down, right? Because they'll say people with different issues, sometimes people with depression due to hormonal changes. I know this mainly in women that this can happen with, and they'll say increase your exercise every day, do aerobics or something like that can help. But I was just thinking, because you can work every day and your body acclimates to that, but then you go through this, I don't even want to say it's not a manic thing, because it's not like you're up all night. It's like, but instead of but then you reserve, like for me, like I reserve the last 2 days to, as I call, go in a cave and just work on ideas and really map things out, do like research. And I'm thinking, I don't feel sad, I don't feel like physically tired, but I do feel this I guess that's the only way I can explain it. It's more mental tiredness, not even exhaustion, but kind of like a sense of, I guess it's a kind of a zen-y calm kind of, but it's not because I'm zen or calm.
Just that you've been active.
Mentally.
Yeah.
Because when you sit in front of a computer, all day, and then you're writing notes, and like we're doing, because don't you think I'm calm compared to normal? Am I acting the same?
It's pretty.
Am I fronting my calmness?
It's about the same. You may feel more calm on the inside, but
but on the outside, I'm being a spastic person.
On the
I'm crazy.
Yeah, on the outside. which
I'm
is
my
good.
old
Which is good
obnoxious
because
self.
it's about it's really like good to feel zen and calm and like you've worked and done something on the inside. You know,
I did it on the outside too.
it's
I typed on the computer and I
no.
wrote
I'm
and I
saying
created.
it
I know
is
what you
good
mean.
to feel that
Like a
way on
release.
on
Yeah.
the inside.
Yes. Thank
Even
you. Thank you, Dr. Ryan.
yes,
Does
they
that mean I'm also beautiful on the inside? Because it's good to
yes.
feel beautiful on the inside, no matter what you look like. That's what all the
Right.
Hallmark cards say.
Exactly.
You are beautiful.
That's what they tell you to tell yourself in the mirror every morning.
That's right. I am
Whether
beautiful.
I'm beautiful.
Well, that leads me to another topic for another
one
day if
day
we
I
have
may
enough time.
believe it. I might
Yeah.
believe it one day.
Well, the thing is that if we look back in time, who I've got too many topics.
Pick one.
And this is tied to evolutionary biology. How are you on that subject? Evolutionary biology.
I don't know off the top of my head, but it is
super. Yeah.
But you would have to pick an area in it, and then I might be able to because I've listened to some stuff on it. Like I can't.
Right.
Yeah, so it would be.
Yeah, so I'm really interested. So I've been listening to a lot of different scholars in evolutionary biology, and mainly because of the pandemic, mainly because there's a common sense theme with the human species and what our bodies are confronted with.
Okay, that was gonna be my
Yeah.
question. I was gonna ask
Right.
if you meant for humans or for like animals.
No, well,
because I find
but they do talk about
the
natural
fact that all
selection.
dogs come from wolves
Right.
to be very fascinating. Where
Right.
like even a Chihuahua
Right.
was a wolf.
Right. And so
So
so they'd say, right, but that I just heard this great talk about and I'm going through the stage of where I can't even be on social media anymore because what the latest and greatest trauma is what's on all the time. And of course the pandemic is a trauma, but it's become so sensationalized. We have almost like actors playing roles, even though I know they have degrees, but you got real life evolutionary biologists and virologists and who are talking about here's how the human body works. This is why we're not questioning vaccines. We're not questioning herd immunity, but we're trying to explain what we know about it and then some of the information kind of coming back at us. And so what is really interesting about what I was listening to the other day is that we have to go back through time and so looking at where we are today, how far we've come as a species, and then think, I'm totally paraphrasing and probably chopping it up, but say how far we come into species and people and part of the evolution of who didn't make it. So that's what we talked about, selection, to say to the human species right now that exist we are the cream of the crop because of isn't that, it was so funny to hear that go, and so this ties me back to the beauty thing.
We just got lucky.
Right, possible. But what's interesting is, and now this is, I just say that all we know is what people told us and wrote down or their opinion of what happened during the ice age. We just have science to decide or that we agree upon to say we weren't here 300 million years ago, but this is how we can measure through magma and all types of things that we know how many and the woolly mammoth that we're uncovering. But things that when we became conscious of how we looked, because it used to be during the a certain time period, certain centuries, if you were Rubenesque, that was good because everyone was starving. So that made you have money and nobody, and then it was like this family thing. So I want to say a family thing is it that during certain times, how you looked represented your class, your status, right? So we fast forward probably in the last, I don't even know, I'd have to really look it up to say who assigned who was beautiful and who wasn't. I think we talked about it before is, the origin of words and what's an orange and who named the orange. And an orange is a color and a fruit. But I always think who assigned who was beautiful and who wasn't. And was it ad agencies? Because
I don't know.
Right.
I think it's
and
been
then
different, and now, now it could be ad agencies, because now a lot of what is being pushed as beauty isn't necessarily how real people see it.
right. I mean, just in time, I'm gonna really in my reading time, like what I love to do just for fun. I'm just gonna read on it or just study it because there's how we visually see each other is kind of how we interpret who the other person is. And then there's the attractiveness of the first impression based on what, and sometimes, like, if you go, we talked about it, who people are attracted to visually, and is that an environmental, like a nurture thing? It's probably how you were raised, what is attractive to you, because I'm sure there are people that you lean more towards. I'm going to just pretend, just that there's like you may have a type.
Some people do have a type.
Yeah. So you have a type, and then, but that doesn't mean you're not going to look at other types or be attracted to it, right? It's because that depends. Sometimes it's the instant subconscious visual, like I'm attracted to that other human.
Yeah.
And then you get to know somebody and you're like your buddies and everything, and all of a sudden going, wow, I had no idea. Because the more you know who the person is on the inside, the more attractive they become. That's occurred to me in my life many times. I had no idea, because you just weren't. And so it's just a really interesting thing. And maybe it is just a subconscious thing that where they have those, the little axioms of love finds, love chooses you, and, or those connections.
I mean, and different people are attracted to different things.
Right.
Like, different people are attracted to different things. And so...
Right. Well, that's in the now.
My type, my type isn't necessarily someone else's type, and somebody else, like...
Well, no, I know, but right. So do you think that's just what it's just what it is, or do you think that was cultivated from environment?
I don't know.
Well, this conversation's not going to go on a long time.
Yeah, I don't...
It's just interesting, because we say, who are we in our society? What is our celebrity? And, what do we put up there as what's attractive and what's not? Then when you're young, you're that's super impressionable until, here's my funny celebrity story. I think it was in my mid-20s. I took a picture of a haircut that I wanted, or my hair styled in a certain way. And then it was the first time a salon person was honest and said, you do know that's a movie star that has people standing within 3 feet of her fixing her hair all the time. Her hair doesn't look like that all the time. Her hair looks regular. So do you want a style that you can use every day, or a style that requires a hairdresser? And that picture is not going to be printed without her permission. So her hair has to look like that. Your hair won't naturally look like that. And I'm thinking my whole life at that time going, I hadn't even thought of that. But of course that's true, because it's all a mirage, right? Of what you look like. And then the angles and the filters on the cameras and stuff.
Different hairstyles look better with different facial feature or facial structures.
Right.
Like, because that's one of the things that, that we went over. Like, I don't remember which goes with which, but I went over in cosmetology school, like where they when you were recommending haircuts to a guest,
Right.
you do things depending on their facial structure.
Right.
And
But if you think about it, is that in the before movies, before TV, that probably was community generated because people moved around, but they probably stayed in their community. And then within the community, they said who was beautiful, who wasn't, who whatever. But then the movies came out, and then they showed us who ever chose them to be the most beautiful. But they didn't say, all the pictures of Greta Garbo has a very soft filter on it, or Marlena Dietrich, or Rosalind Russell, all beautiful women. But you know what? In those times, compared to now, those women were striking. So it's just really interesting to say, were we just as a society, thrown these pictures up to say that's what you want to strive for? Because of course, behind the movie is advertisement, and the TV is advertisement. So we wanted to see the beautiful people. It's just really interesting because anyone can look. I mean, we almost any woman especially can enhance with lighting, with false eyelashes, with hair extensions, with lip implants, with painting your face a certain way, can get pretty close to that photo. But that's not everyday life. But I still think there's so it's like the measurement of beauty. And yeah, and so I look and go, oh my gosh, that woman is like movie star beautiful. I mean, I even do it. Just go there. There's like movie star just walking through life at the grocery store. But there's other, so I always wonder. I just think about that sometimes remember that old show, the Rod Sterling show? No. Oh, yeah, you do. Yeah, you do, because they did an update, and it would be something it was sci-fi. I can't remember it. Maybe because I'm not even that old. It was sci-fi anyway. So they did these segments of these shows, and it was a really beautiful woman that she had to go through some transformation. She had to have work done on her face. And when they took the bandages off her face, she was beautiful. And it was a juxtaposition because because before she had her face transformed to beautiful, what she thought was beautiful was actually ugly. So anyway, it's interesting, but not very interesting to talk about. So that's my take on, I don't know, it's just a question I ask, and I think, who dictates it? Do we as society, with influence from kind of that Madison Avenue? Because right now it's like, it seems our culture is everybody and their brothers out there now, and then it's just it's like it's almost as if it's fading out, this whole carbon copy of what actors, actresses, and or maybe they're looking more real. I don't know.
It's also a little different. I don't know. I think a little different between men and women. Like,
right.
I don't, because I don't necessarily think about it.
Right.
One thing I do, it is kind of having been on set and around.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the some are actually very attractive,
right,
in person, and some are very ordinary looking.
Right.
Like I I was in this, same
space,
room,
right.
standing right next to Lady Gaga, and I had, took me forever to actually figure out that that's who it was. I was like, wait, really?
Yeah.
She's so ordinary.
Yeah.
It's and then there are other people that,
and maybe
that's what they look like. Sarah Michelle Gellar. That's what she looks.
She looks exactly like that, or
she
someone
looks pretty much exactly like that on TV or in real life.
Right. like someone I think is naturally stunning would be in the Christy. No, she's a model. And it's not Christy Brinkley, but she's pretty. But it's the other gorgeous one with a mole.
Cindy Crawford.
Cindy Crawford.
Okay.
So, but just somebody who and this is what I mean by real, is that she's walking down a red carpet and someone with just a regular camera is talking to her and going, dang, her face is stunning. So it's not all this, the fancy cameras and anyway, that can enhance and lighting and stuff. But that's my opinion. But there's a but see, that's the wild thing about the smoke and mirrors, because maybe the majority are just plain, and it's the accoutrements that make us think. And so it's just amazing sometimes to watch. And with unfortunate part,
for men, like whenever guys do all the shirtless scenes and stuff like that, that's not what they look like all the time.
No, God,
like,
of course not.
Like they're dehydrated. Like,
I know,
that's how you
right.
get, like, when you, like, for bodybuilding and
right.
and those things, like, you know, you're you go through a stage and series of dehydration,
sure,
to get your muscles to really pop like that. Yeah. And
I used to watch muscle, the guys, the bodybuilders and women, but I didn't really watch the women that much, but they'd have those competition where they, like Mr. Atlas, they come out and stretch, but they would say, oh yeah, we don't drink water for a day beforehand because we want the muscles to be completely depleted so they show up when you flex, right?
Yep.
And
you're only
Jackman,
I have a friend. I have a buddy that does those. Like, you're not he's on a very strict diet, very strict liquid intake. I think about the only thing you're really allowed that day before is like red wine, like a little bit of red wine.
Yeah. I know that Hugh Jackman said when he was doing the Wolverine series, that was one of the hardest parts, is your diet is so strict and your exercise is crazy. And
I met him. Then, he gave on The Greatest Showman, he gave everybody else on set a lottery ticket but me.
Why?
He ran out. He ran out by the time I got there. But he gave everybody lottery tickets.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And everybody was like, "Oh, I got lottery tickets from Hugh Jackman." And I was like, "I didn't get a lottery ticket from Hugh Jackman." And
I really like the
and I was actually in like a lot of scenes with him. Like, I was a stagehand.
Oh, no kidding.
Yeah, for The Greatest Showman, when they're backstage doing stuff, you'll probably see me. I'm the Where's Waldo of Netflix, basically.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh, I could find you. Well, I've
done background on so many shows, TVs, movies, like, because it's what I did for a job for several years, and so I love all over Netflix.
I have a very weird thing that I do, is if I like the music to the show, I kind of imagine what it's about, because the music kind of tells the story. And if I hear the soundtrack and I like it, I'll listen to it, buy it and listen to it a few times. And I'm always disappointed in watching the creator's interpretation of the music. It's so funny. It happened with Phantom of the Opera. When I saw that, actually, it's just a weird thing. So sometimes I have to say, just see it first. And if you like the music, buy it after. And it's the same thing I do with books when I read books and then they're turned into movies, because sometimes the music is really the art, and I know the story's tied to the whole thing. It's a musical, but it's weird. It's like I have this bad habit of, if I've read it before, if I heard the music before the musical, I will be disappointed in how they write the script.
I only pay attention to music if they're like rock or pop or hip hop songs. Like I don't notice orchestral music or anything.
Oh, you don't?
No.
I love the symphony though.
I don't
classical music.
Yeah, I wish I enjoyed it more, kind of. Like, I mean, I was in band. Like, I you know.
It's more contemporary. I mean, probably,
Well, I
yeah.
mean, I was in
You
jazz
were in, were
bands,
you, but you
symphonic
weren't in orchestra.
band, marching band.
Were you in orchestra? Did they have an
No, we
orchestra?
didn't have an orchestra, but we had a
Yeah.
symphonic band.
Oh,
Like it
that's
was,
cool.
which is I don't know, kind of orchestra adjacent.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Because I was training and I was singing um, as young as like eighth grade, but then in high school, I trained vocally and then, but always sang classically. So always had a full orchestra throughout, the time and then
okay.
beyond high school. So, and for me personally, learning I was 13 when I started freshman year, but learning Brahms and Handel or Handel, whichever, learning all these different languages because the music teacher was like, I don't care how old you are, I don't care, just that's what we do. We had to learn it in the original language, and then of course always they had the translation underneath it. But it's just like how much it absorbed, but there's so
I
much.
remember
Yeah.
having to sing a couple of foreign like I don't remember it. I hadn't.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
I was really just making sounds.
Mm-hmm.
that
But I just felt really lucky during that time because we were able to take music theory,
yeah,
learn. Yeah, that was very cool. But we were,
I
it's
took all
more.
of that stuff and applied it to like rock music
Yeah, that's awesome.
and stuff. And so that's kind of also why I don't like when you were talking about all that why you
Mm-hmm.
pay attention to the orchestral stuff. That's I
Right.
was like, "Oh, that makes sense," because when I was in my early teens and stuff, I was I was in band but I hated it like cuz it
Mm-hmm.
wasn't that fun for me. Like
Mm-hmm.
learning music was cool, but like so I
Right.
would take what I would learn there and then apply it to bass guitar and guitar,
Mm-hmm.
and I would write songs with my friends, and so I was more
Yeah.
interested in that, which is
Right.
why I pay more attention to movies that have those type soundtracks.
Right. Well, I
Um,
think, yeah, and I
like
feel
I
super.
loved
Yeah.
in high school, I loved the Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet soundtrack.
Oh. Mm-hmm.
Like that was one of my favorite albums in high school for a
Mm-hmm.
time.
Yeah.
Um, so that's where those are when of the songs kind of
Mm-hmm.
stand out, like for
Yeah.
movies for me.
Yeah. And I grew up around music, but then classical when really in high school, the orchestra, and then but
I
my
like sampling
attachment.
classical music to make cool hip hop beats though.
Well, there you go.
I
But
do
that
like
right.
that. I and when I'm writing songs, I
Mm-hmm.
do always try to incorporate like horns and or strings in there somewhere mixed in
Mm-hmm.
with weird electronic sounds. So I do try to like throw it in there, but
You want to hear something weird that I do? There are YouTube videos of music theorists and musicians who break down certain chords because of how it makes you feel. Because
okay.
and so like they'll say, here's a pop song, and then they deconstruct it. There are songs that people say, why is that so striking? Why does that give me chills the first time I hear it? And then they trace this song, and then you find out there's a lot of songs, especially written like classics that are classics today, but written 60s, 70s, 80s, that some of the songwriters took or tried to give a tip of the hat to or a nod to a classical, whether it's Beethoven or Brahms or something, and would take, maybe 8 bars of some big sweeping modulation in the music, and I just said, there's a couple songs that artists have said, oh yeah, I was given a nod, but unfortunately they completely copied it. And so the estates of all of these artists said, well, you have to put our name on the song as well. But so anyway, so I watch these because I'm always just kind of like looking at this human species evolution, also the evolution of music, because for me, my experience, music is probably the most incredible communicator because you can feel it. And I'm always searching to say, is it the music? Of course, it's also the lyrics. And then, and growing up, I think, especially during tougher times in my life, I would find songs that that it would help articulate a story for me. And then that just created this more and more of an attachment. But when the symphony comes in and the classical music comes in, there's also there's a feel to it, there's a swell to it, there's actual art and structure to it that resonates with people, that we know when to be happy in the song, we know when it's going to be scary in the song. We know it, and that's just with the natural wood, wind, piano, the violin, the cello, the saxophone, the French horn, all those things in combination with, and then having these different chords played. How the conductor wants to hear it, but it's just really interesting. I mean, that's just something weird that I do. I watch because I'm always in search of, is it the actual music? Because I believe it's all been done before. So there's a lot of music. We're all influenced by the music that has been around, forever.
Yep.
Are those chords coming back up? Because there's only so many chords that can be. There's only so many chords. Yep. And so, is that what strikes us when we hear a song to go, that's a catchy beat, or that song moves me? Is it the words? Is it the voice of the artist? So just really, I just love
I like to think it's a combination of
Yeah.
all of it. Although I don't understand why a lot of popular music is popular.
Mhm.
It's like, yeah, I don't. I'm just like, this is what is gets an overwhelmingly over a majority of thumbs up from the planet. Damn.
Well, I just think though,
and that's
see,
also
I think
why
you're also showing your age, because
no, I mean, I've always kind of, I've always
turn
been
that
like
stuff
that.
down, right?
No, I
Yeah.
mean, I've always been I've always questioned the music that's popular. Like, why is this popular?
Right. Well, can you imagine though, somebody like me who loves jazz and the blues and classical and classic rock, and just something that was uh, generated and created, and since I think I would say since jazz, I don't have it memorized, the trajectory of it started with the blues, went to jazz, rock and roll was in there somewhere, and then just all these machinations stemming from the blues.
Yeah, metal,
Then you
punk
fast
rock.
forward to right, then all the different segments of
Yeah,
rock,
hip hop,
right,
new
and
wave,
then we went into I don't know if it was
synthwave,
the
EDM,
70s, right, but I don't
disco,
know if we did it. Yeah, disco was there, but then I don't know when the
funk.
synthesizer,
Yeah.
remember, and then the computer started making music, and then it was just that beat was really the song, and then maybe that was during the disco era, but it just seems like after it it just seemed that, and then of course we had the big hair bands. Was that the 80s?
Yeah.
Okay, so we had the big hair bands, and then the 90s was really rap. Was there any
And
really
yeah, rap and
boy bands maybe?
alternative,
Okay,
grunge.
well, grunge was more 80s, wasn't it?
It was
Or
90s.
both?
It was
Yeah, so
90s.
maybe right, but so you have that, but
Like,
then
cuz I was it
Mhm.
started around like early 90s ish, like cuz I remember listening to yeah, Nirvana back in like 5th, 6th grade,
Mhm.
like
But because as we know, the music industry, what is popular is just being dictated by whoever in the industry is deciding, because a lot of the music
yeah.
channels and stations are all owned by
That
one company.
is
So there's right. So just, but this has been the last 20, 30 years.
Yeah,
is that it's harder and harder to break free. That's why so many people are trying to be a star on YouTube, right? Or Spotify or whichever, trying to be. So yeah, it's just really, it's interesting. So the hard thing is that part of it, I think that
I kind of lost hope inside of everything. Like when because I was trying for it with music, and then when you kind of see behind the curtain, I was just like that combined with my loss of religious
right.
practices,
Yeah.
because I was a religious artist and I was no longer practicing religion.
But couldn't you still rap, or would that
I
be
could,
weird?
but I was solely doing it to save the world, and
Right.
so I was just like, I can't,
Yeah.
like it would just sort of
You
took
could do it, but it would, for you morally,
I'd lost, I feel like I'd lost my purpose for the gift,
Right.
and then so it took me a while to be like, no, I was stupid. I should have just kept going and making music and just,
scamming the world.
And just, well, no, I should have just kept going and then sorted out.
Right.
And then sorted out the emotions later.
Yeah. But don't you think that when we have a crossroads in our life and we do stuff, and maybe it's because you're so much younger than me, but that you get to a certain point in your life going, you're here. And I know because there's certain things, we have into our life. It's like, I wanted to do this and I wanted to have these things accomplished. And maybe it's a harder thing for men, that maybe, and I mean, I know that's kind of random, but for men to say, I have a trajectory and I'm going to work this hard. And you chose an industry that is brutal and impossible. And then you went off of the music and then you went into the Hollywood world, another impossible, really difficult, to get into. And so so it's almost as it is, but when you have this creative talent, punishment. Well, I don't know if that's exactly it, or you are super resilient.
Yeah. Right? And I really want to keep my soul clean.
Right.
And so
there's all these, right.
Yeah. And so you got to do, what you're comfortable with. And it's, it's like, I mean, for example of that, that's why I have a hard time working like retail jobs anymore, just because it don't make me feel right. Like trying to push, like just the emphasis on sales and like, when you see people coming in and you're like, they don't need to be getting a credit card, but they're like, nope, sign them up, upsell them. And it's like, nah, man, they just need pants. Let these poor people like just get some pants and leave. Like stop trying to like
credit.
Yeah, stop.
Yeah. Well.
And so that, I eventually just had a really hard time with retail, like because of things like that, where I'd be like, I just don't feel right, like pushing this.
Yeah, and I will say, there are certain things that, especially certain products that it takes more. It's not just credit card, but it's such a there's so many things in this amazing country that companies want to sell more of, and credit card is one thing. But I totally get it, because I would, I always look at druthers to say, would I want to, try to show somebody how much better their life's going to be, when in the back of my mind I worry that you're probably a statistic that if you pay late, it's going to go from 0% to 27%. Don't do that.
Yeah.
And then I worry about you. Right. So I totally get it.
Because I was in their shoes too. Because I'm like,
absolutely.
I don't need them asking me for I can't afford a credit card. I'm not responsible.
Yeah. But let's give a shout out to all those people working retail.
Yeah.
My sister works for Target, and
respect.
Total respect. And
that's why I had to move into mostly manual labor, because
but the thing is that I guess it all has to do with your person, because the store that she works here in the Bay Area, store she works at, it's a huge family, and just all the people that work, and they're funny and they're petty and they're backbiting, but they, wouldn't leave each other. And she just tells me these incredible stories of, it's like, well, and she just works part-time. She's a lot older than me, which I shouldn't say, but it's a thing that she didn't have to work. Her husband, the modest amount of money they made, she didn't have to work because they didn't buy a home in their life and they didn't want to. But she got to, she wanted to go out and, go to different places, shop with her friends that was exceeding the budget. So she started there probably about 10 years ago, but she's got a decent 401k already, even for part-time. And they do help gap for the insurance. And she said there are times where it's more brutal, but she said at some point, that part of doing the cards or the Target card or whatever it is, she said, she goes, one week is you get these big bonuses if you sell them. The next week the bonus gets less and less and less. And then all of a sudden there's no bonus, just sell a lot of them.
Yeah.
And right. And so she goes, well, that's not very fair or incentive. And then it became, this is supposed to help everybody this is part of your job to do this so many, but she just said, well, okay, it's a part-time job. I love you guys, and they said, no. But yeah, but I will say, I did it when I was young, because you work.
Yeah.
But I did retail. I worked at.
I had a blast. Like when I was doing it, like when I worked at the mall, like I had a
exactly.
a blast.
I worked at the mall.
Like it was so much fun.
But I did but
made some
great
friends.
I made more money in fast food, but then when I became a certain age, you wanted to be fancy, and then you'd work over at the mall at the Macy's or Penny's or something.
The closest thing to fast food that I ever worked was Baskin Robbins.
How boring is that? I mean, really, how boring is that?
Oh, we had fun. We probably had too much fun.
I worked
my buddy John and I made it fun. We made it super fun.
Well, I was 15 and a half at that time. You could work full time with the work permit from school. So I go to school and then I would go work because I loved that money. That was nice to have that money. Newsflash. When I turned 16, I was a shift manager because me, I was responsible. But our town had where the cars called they cruise. Our town had cruising that went from our town to the next town, so it was an all-night affair of guys, girls hanging on the street and guys meeting each other, just driving their souped-up cars. And Jack in the Box was in that lane, so those Friday and Saturday nights on cruise nights could have been, it was just ridiculous. And to know that, the kids that were ridiculous. So if I had to work, I got to see, because they forget that you were a classmate and a decent kid, there was just whatever. Cause there are some kids who thought if you work fast food that you were kind of low end, but I'm thinking, well, I'm making more money than you, picking grapes out at the winery. But I will tell you, I strongly recommend for any young person to either work fast food or a Baskin Robbins, because that really does teach you about working in the world from the point of view of their expectations.
Well, I did
policies
at that age.
Right. Well, I will. Right, but I will tell you, this is So when I was
my first job was lifeguarding.
Well,
like my first.
I was a paper boy girl, but I delivered papers when I was 14.
Yeah, I got paid to do farm stuff.
Yeah.
Like
then
and my grandma and uncle owned an auto parts store, and so on the weekends I would work there sometimes. That was real young, like 14, 15, like had no permit, but it was
No, it's
family
cool
owned.
to order, to be fancy. I mean, because it's corporation, Jack in the Box.
Yeah.
But I did, and then paper route, and then I cleaned the back room at a lingerie shop and restocked it for a long time, for $4 here, $5 there, and then of course the babysitting. But my parents didn't have any. They've had 5 kids, so no money for anything extra, and so my mother would say, if you want something that's not on the list for school clothes, or you got to go earn the money yourself. And when I got that first sweet taste of money, and that I can go and buy the latest blouse or the latest lip gloss or the latest, jeans, that changed my life to go. That's what my funny story, my Jack in the Box, when they said, well, Rita, you seem to be reliable and show up, and now that you're 16, would you like to be a shift manager? They send you to school for that. And so they sent me to a corporate Jack in the Box, and there's an actual manual that someone trains you on exactly how many dollops at the time, probably before a machine takes it over, that the Jumbo Jack would get. Exactly how thin do you slice the lettuce, and before it was all packaged, right? And that I remember even as a kid kind of cracking up to say, because it's all down to a science, because it's all that supply. So they're saying if every jumbo, we should be able to quantify that to say if every Jumbo Jack gets a fraction of an ounce of mayo or ketchup or whichever, but yeah, they send you to school. And what I learned then, managers at fast food places make a lot of money. In the fast food, and the trajectory to go to be a district manager, a regional manager, an executive manager in fast food, I used to think, oh, they couldn't make very much money, but they do. That's why I was wondering, God, I wonder why someone would spend their life working there. It's like, 150 grand a year is not bad.
No.
So anyway, but
Baller.
that's so how are we doing on time?
1 hour and 2 minutes.
Look how close. See, I'm getting really good. I was over by 14 minutes last time. I was early the time before, but I had my original topic to start with that you interrupted with the Dust Bowl. I still haven't talked about, but I think we're good.
Cool.
Do you want to promote anything before we leave?
Trashcanconductor.com. Go buy some shirts.
And I would like to,
and subscribe to my YouTube channel, Trash Can Conductor, the one you're watching this video on.
Ryan's mom and Jenny. Let's be clear.
Yeah.
So I just want to say in closing, because Chef Jenny Fox of the Indianapolis, Indiana area, who does private dinner parties, and she does meal prep. You can look her up at Jenny Fox at Twitter. I think everything she's Jenny Chef. I'm sorry, at Chef Jenny Fox. Well, she's my new best friend, number one. Ryan was, but Jenny never talks about dust. So I just want to, in closing, support Jenny and thank her. Even though you wrote notes before Ryan had advertised it, I still love you. And and just on a personal note, and for Ryan, because the three of us are working on a project together, I'm training Jenny to be a diva, because I think that'll make your life even tougher.
Living hell.
Yes, because you go work with me.
Yeah.
You
just didn't like the dust conversation because you couldn't talk for 5 minutes straight without letting me interject.
Well, maybe there's more. Maybe there's going to be 3 divas in this group.
Oh, I am. Anyway. I only take so much before I start. Like, I don't necessarily like to go there because I'll go there.
Was that your being mean?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I feel good. I still love you.
I still love you too.
Okay, thanks. So thank you to all of our subscribers and watchers.
That was an ill-timed. That was literally, yeah, that wasn't.
So Ryan and I, we will see you. The plan is to have a show every week. So
yes.
The plan is to tape against. And this is a really fun weekend because I think everyone gets a little extra day off.
Yep.
But thank you, Ryan. Thank you so much. Always love
Yes, thank you. Oh, and we will have stuff soon. I started some mock-ups, so get ready for some Rita and Ryan Podcast coffee mugs and stuff. So
can we send one free to your mom?
Yeah.
Okay. And then
of course
to
of course
Chef Jenny Fox of the Indianapolis area.
So she can
I didn't say it 300 times, Jenny. I'm sorry, but I tried.
Yes, we'll definitely send her one,
yes.
So that way she can have it displayed front and center in the cooking show.
That's brilliant. No, but see, now we have to design one for the show too. But that's for another day.
Exactly.
That's a secret. That's a secret.
A different day, different topic.
Different day, different topic. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Good to see you.